Worldwide, the coronavirus death toll now tops 3,000, with nearly 90,000 cases. But even those numbers are nothing compared to what could happen in the months ahead. Today, CBS News' Jim Axelrod spoke with one of this country's top experts from Harvard on viruses, who has a startling prediction.
The number that I think is grabbing a lot of people is this estimate: 40 to 70% of the world's adult population could be infected.
Yes.
Accurate?
That is, it's a projection, so we will find out if it's accurate as things go on. It is a best estimate that I've been able to make based on a combination of the mathematical models that we use to track and predict epidemics.
So in terms of addressing the numbers that may get people panicked, what can you tell us?
Well, again, the 40 to 70% is a number a proportion of the population, adult population infected. And we know that some people who get this infection have no or almost no symptoms whatsoever. What we don't know is how many there are like that. So if, say, that's half the people, then the 1% or 2% that we're seeing in the symptomatic people is cut down by half. Whatever the number is, it's going to take a toll. If it really does spread as widely as that projection says, and that's what I think is likely to happen, then there are going to be millions of people dying, and I don't think there's any way to get around that. And so I think there's real reason for people to be concerned. I also think that we can turn that concern into actions that will make the situation better.
The 1% of people who are symptomatic, that fatality rate, that's also not just a straight mathematical equation. People over 65 may be more susceptible. People under 30 may be more susceptible, correct?
People less. So the susceptibility to symptomatic infection seems to go up strictly with age, and especially up at the very oldest ages. And among those who are symptomatic, the risk of dying goes up further. So it really is concentrated in those older age groups, the high risk.
So you, who know as much as anybody about this, are using words like if and well, we hope. The fact is, we really just don't know what to expect, do we?
I think we have some bounds on what to expect. I think it is now almost inevitable that this will transmit in a global fashion and take a big toll on essentially the entire globe. I just don't see any way around that, given the number of places where we know about it and the number of places where we haven't looked, and therefore can infer that some of those places also probably have it.
When considering preparation, what should people be doing to prepare?
I think there's a reasonable chance that, as in Japan and as in Italy and some other places that have seen more cases, we will have closures of schools. I think there's a reasonable chance that there will be public gatherings will be restricted, either by legal authority, although I think that's less likely, or by voluntary decisions of people. That includes church services, that includes other forms of gathering in large groups. In terms of making things better and preparing, I think one thing we can do is for business owners and those who are in charge of workplaces to make it easier for people to stay home if they're sick. One suggestion is to not count sick days during this pandemic. And on the individual level, that also means preparing oneself to stay home when sick in order to help prevent transmission to others.
I heard some people over the weekend just anecdotally say, oh, SARS was supposed to be bad, bird flu was supposed to be bad, the 2009 flu was supposed to be bad, and it wasn't. I'm not going to subscribe to the sky is falling, and this isn't going to be that bad. You're saying, time out, this actually is qualitatively different.
This is qualitatively different from SARS and MERS in the sense that it is 10 times bigger than SARS already, or more, or about 10 times bigger than SARS, and it is way more widespread, and it is clearly not under control in the way that SARS was at this point or near this point.
And for people trying to get their arms around this right now, I think it's a worthwhile question to ask you. Is this coronavirus an existential threat?
This is not an existential threat. This is, qualitatively, it's very much like a bad pandemic of influenza, which we experienced arguably twice or three times in the 20th century. It's worse than the one that we experienced in 2009. But none of those brought civilization close to its knees. They made things awful for a while.
And this won't either.
And this will not either.
Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Boston.